Welcome to Pathways to Partnership, the podcast powered by MoveAmerica. Here, we explore the intersection of industry, government, and academia, where collaboration sparks innovation and strengthens our nation's defense industrial base. Each episode will bring you thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and real-world success stories that showcase the pathways to building a stronger, more innovative defense industry. And now, here's your host, Rick from MoveAmerica.
Joining us today on the podcast, we have Carolyn Campbell from MoveAmerica. Carolyn, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. And we certainly appreciate you joining us on this initial podcast. Now, Carolyn, could you fill us in a little bit about what your role is at MoveAmerica?
I'm the Director of Programs and Projects at MoveAmerica. And in that role, one of my prime responsibilities is leading the MPP team of program managers.
I also want to touch on your background because I understand that you had a lengthy career in the armed services.
Yes, I was an Air Force officer, acquisition officer. I spent 33 years in the Air Force doing almost everything across avionics, space, missile defense, C2ISR, and then, of course, my final job at the Pentagon was doing the PPBE, which is the programming, planning, budgeting, and execution process. A lot of people don't like that because it is dealing with all the numbers and how to and what if, but I totally enjoyed it because everything goes back to the money.
Well, it always does, right? And especially when it comes to defense budgeting, because that's certainly something that has had people on both sides of the fence will say, people who are saying, we need to spend more, and then you have the people that say we need to spend less. And so all of that fell right onto your desk, didn't it?
Oh, definitely. And mine was mostly focused on Air Force R&D and science and technology. So that fell right into my favorite topic areas. I always tell folks that we can afford anything, we just can't afford everything. So you have to be strategic about the tools, about the weapon systems that we're out considering, buying, and developing.
How does that, because I see a lot of synergy with how that plays into your role now at MoveAmerica, especially when it comes to the Mentor-Protégé program.
So when you think about it, we always talk about where does the most innovation occur. And so that's what excites me about the Mentor-Protégé program is that I get the opportunity to work with some of these companies who have these innovative ideas that we may not otherwise hear about because they have struggles or face barriers when it comes to doing business with the Department of Defense.
Yeah, because it really can be quite a difficult process to get into that procurement arena when it comes to DoD, right?
Yes. First, you got to know who to talk to. That's the big thing. You got to know who to talk to, who needs what you're developing. And then you have to sell that. What makes your product better than what somebody else has? You got to find somebody to sponsor you to bring that in and say, hey, we can actually use this.
Right. And that is something that was a very big priority. It was all about trying to get businesses re-engaged, particularly when it came to the federal government and contracting. And as you said, I mean, certainly something that is very welcome within the defense sector.
Definitely, I agree with that. And I could give one other example that happened. It was through the Biden, the Trump, and the Obama administration. If we think back to COVID, when just the opportunity to purchase small things like protective equipment for our health services people, we didn't have any of that onshore in the United States. We sent most things offshore. And so during COVID, I was part of the team, the supply chain team at HHS that was looking at bringing a lot of that back onshore. So when it comes to these businesses, we don't want them going to other countries, selling their technologies. We want to use those technologies here. So I think that's how we can leverage the MPP program better to help the Department of Defense.
You know, it's really interesting when you talk about offshoring, because that really is something that a lot of people don't realize. So many of the products that we bring into everyday life in the United States, we're getting from overseas. But look at the different factors that can really affect that. And I'll just bring into this conversation when the Francis Scott Key Bridge got destroyed last year, and the port of Baltimore was shut down. There were ships stacked for miles where they couldn't get on shore to unload their products. And when you have something that's really mission critical, or health critical, you can't have that sitting on a cargo ship out in the middle of the Atlantic. You really need to have that where you need it when you need it.
It all boils down to basically two words, and I would say national security.
Right, because national security, obviously, that is really the biggest focus, particularly when you're talking about the Department of Defense, because it's not just about what we're doing overseas. It's not what we're doing in other countries. It's what we're doing here at home, because we have to protect our national interests.
Yes, I agree. When the Department of Defense, our bottom line is yes, it's national security, but we're sending a lot of young men and women out to do the nation's business, and we want to make sure they're safe. So whatever weapon systems they're developing, whatever weapon systems they're operating, we want to make sure those are the best when it comes to technology. So being able to develop that right here in the United States makes it better. I know you have a session coming up later on. You're going to talk about foreign ownership, control, or influence. So that's a big picture when it comes to addressing issues that we face in developing weapon systems for the Department of Defense.
Yes, yes. We're going to be discussing foci in depth as well, but thank you for introducing that. I love when people push my topics forward. So we talked about bringing that innovation that resides in businesses here in the United States and bringing that to market. And of course, that's really what the Mentor-Protégé program is all about, right?
When I talked about barriers, a lot of it has to do with the contracting process. They don't know how to do contracting with the Department of Defense. And yes, we have a lot of requirements, and that kind of scares some people away. But through Mentor-Protégé, through the use of some of the Apex accelerators, we're trying to help people overcome those obstacles, overcome those fears, and help them work through that process of contracting.
And obviously, we're talking about mentor companies, which are the more established companies within the defense industrial base. And then we talk about protege companies, and these are really the less established companies that are looking to get into the defense industrial base.
And then by pairing like the proteges with a mentor, we can't do the pairing. They have to do their own pairs, but we can get them in the same room so they can kind of network. But when you do those pairings and they come up with these agreements, we can have those mentors help walk them through those different processes that are required to actually do a business with the federal government.
And that's a really good point. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know where to go. They don't know really what to do. And by helping to get them together with the larger mentor companies, I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge transfer that can happen, I mean, fairly quickly when you finally get them together and get them into an agreement.
So when they start talking to each other, the mentors, my hat's off to them because they're actually taking the time to do this. Yes, the government reimburses them for their time that they put in, but they're actually taking that time and they're willing to help develop these companies. It's kind of like twofold though. So what they get out of it, you kind of training somebody to help you. So you could be training somebody that's going to be your next subcontractor, somebody to do something in AI that you just can't do anymore. There's a lot of work to go around, and these companies, these mentor companies are willing to share that work. So by doing mentor protege program, they're helping develop these protege companies to come assist them as well as bring technologies into the defense industrial base.
And so really it's a mutually beneficial system for the protege who then understands how to get into the federal contracting and then could eventually become a subcontractor to this larger mentor company. And then the mentor company, they're helping to develop what could potentially be a subcontractor for the future, but more importantly, they're helping to bring that innovation into the defense industrial base, which is what's going to help move things forward and help the United States and the Department of Defense and the warfighter really keep that technological advantage that we've been so used to having over the years.
And it's not just the proteges becoming subcontractors to the mentors. It could be the other way around as well. You want to grow these contractors, the proteges, you want to grow them to a point where they become the prime and they lead the way. But the mentor and the protege are actually developing a partnership. And our goal is that they create a partnership that's going to be long lasting, that's going to be for many years to come, that they're helping each other win contracts, execute contracts, and do whatever it takes to bring quality materials and technology to the Department of Defense.
And now, all of this plays out within the Mentor-Protégé program. MoveAmerica has a really unique role in Mentor-Protégé program, correct?
Correct. So under standard government contracts, it's normally a government contracting office that does the contracting. The government has to find other ways to actually get things on contract. So we've all heard about other transaction authorities. And in this case, for the Mentor-Protégé program, which became a program of record in the FY23 NDAA language, the contracting effort has been transferred via a cooperative agreement to MoveAmerica.
Right, the cooperative agreement that made MoveAmerica the MPP intermediary.
What that helps them do is, per NDAA 23, is it helps them do better records management, better financial management, and better able to respond overall to Congress when it comes to the Mentor-Protégé program, because now, since it is a program of record, there's more oversight required, more reporting required. So MoveAmerica is going to help with that. What that does is take some of that workload and some of that pressure off of the existing agencies and services.
And what a lot of people don't realize is, like you had said, before the fiscal year 23 NDAA, the Mentor-Protégé program was a pilot program. It was never a permanent program. So with a pilot program, obviously, there are less requirements when it comes to reporting. But then now that it became a permanent program, it's really about bringing MoveAmerica in to try to increase the efficiency and effectiveness.
We want to make the process more efficient, more effective, and also we want to grow the program. We don't want to be limited by the resources that those services and agencies may or may not have. And also what it does is it brings priority to the MPP program, because just imagine if you're an MPP program and you have one contracting shop and you're competing with, I'm just going to say like the Abrams tank or the F-15 or the F-35, where's your priority for MPP? You're probably going to have to wait a little bit.
Right. And that is a very good point, because when you're talking about these massive programs that are going on right now and all of the contracting that's necessary for them, it's one of those instances where the government made that decision to bring on MoveAmerica to really help with this, because we're going to not just move things forward. It's about growing things. It's about making them better. Outreach is another big thing. It's really about trying to get more companies into the Mentor-Protégé program. I think that's really an opportunity that we're going to have to try to recruit more mentors and recruit more protege companies. And we can't pair them up, but we can help get them in the same room so that they can talk to each other, because I think there are a lot of times that people just aren't really going to know what even the first step is.
I'm excited about MPP. We just want to grow this program, expand this outreach that you're talking about to make people more aware. Because I'll be honest with you, 33 years in the Air Force, I don't think I ever really heard about the MPP program. And I work R&D in science and technology. So this is something that we just need to let everyone know about it, and then find ways to get more people into it. We want to grow our technology base.
So, Carolyn, when we're talking about the technology areas that we're looking to bring companies in to fulfill, is there any place that companies can go and see what those technology areas are?
Yeah, each year the nation produces the critical and emerging technologies list, but all people need to do is go online and search for the critical and emerging technologies list, and they will be able to see some of the technologies that the nation is actually looking to develop in the very near future.
All right, and we'll be sure to put a link to that in our description and on the MoveAmerica LinkedIn page as well. And when you talk about some of the technologies that have come out of the Mentor-Protégé program over the past couple of years, I'm sure you have some doozies that you can mention, right?
Yeah, so the past 6 months or the past year I've been here, I've been reading more about it's been AI, it's been artificial intelligence, it's been machine learning, it's been materials. When I go back and look at some of the programs that have actually benefited from the MPP program, they're huge. You have the F-35, the Abrams tank, the KC-130. So these are programs that everybody's heard of, the F-15 Eagle. And of course, I'm saying a lot of Air Force programs because that's what I know. But the opportunities to incorporate the technologies that are brought in under the MPP program are just endless.
But even the ones that want to go into federal contracting that don't meet the requirements for MPP, there are still resources for them. There are still ways that they can get help getting into that government contracting arena or contracting with the Department of Defense. It's just not something that's going to be necessarily right for MPP.
Correct. And when we do come across those companies, when they do call us, because we have received those calls, we try to point them into a direction that will help them. We can direct them to the Apex accelerators. So we're building those relationships as well. We're building relationships with all these authorized subcontractors, the manufacturing institutes. So we can actually direct folks to them, say, this is what they're looking for. Can you please help them?
And that's spectacular because, again, Move America, our directive really is to help bring that innovation, the technological innovation, into the defense space. But really, at the core of it, it's really about helping businesses that, again, want to become part of this grander ecosystem, pointing them in the right direction, giving them the guidance that they need, giving them the contacts that they need to get questions answered or to get more information, even when it comes down to our Apex Accelerator. I know they recently held a webinar about writing a capability statement. I mean, there are a lot of companies that just don't realize how important those types of documents are, or, how important it is to learn how to, submit a formal proposal, but we're giving them those resources. So again, it may not be MPP, but it's still something that is going to help them move forward, because that's really what we want to do.
Yes, I agree with you, Rick. It's all about the resources, and it's that people just don't know they exist. So if we, as part of our MPP outreach program, can actually educate people on these resources that are available, I think that's a plus for us and a plus for the Department of Defense in trying to increase the defense industrial base. We don't want to repeat what the Apex accelerators do, but there's nothing stopping us from leveraging what they're doing and bringing it all together in one place and basically educating people on what's out there, what's available to them. Because I think part of it is just people just don't know. And that's where your job as the strategic comms is really going to help us out in MPP with doing that outreach that you talked about earlier.
Definitely. And with our Move America team, we certainly have the people in the different areas that are really working diligently to help move this forward. And outreach, of course, is one of them. MPP is one of them, and research and development. So certainly, really proud of everything that our team is currently accomplishing and even looking to accomplish going forward. So speaking about going forward, if there's anyone listening who, again, they're working for a business and they are really interested in the Mentor-Protégé program, or they're from a larger company that wants to know, okay, what exactly do I need to do to be a mentor within the MPP? What would their next steps be?
So let's start with if they want to be a mentor. So there are requirements that companies must meet to become mentors, and they're laid out in DFAR's Appendix I. For some of those, if you just have to have a $25 million contract the previous year, you must be in good standing with the federal government in your contracting aspects. Those are just a couple of things they have to do. But they just apply through the DoD, go out to their website, and you submit a mentor application. A team who's assessing your application will get back to you and with the yes or no on whether or not you can be accepted. And if it is a no, then they will tell you what you need to do to fix that. And if you want to be a protege, I would say talk to some of our mentors, come to some of our networking events, find that mentor who can provide you with what you need, that mentor that's going to help you grow up into their space or the space that you're looking to grow up in, and talk to them and ask them if they're willing to be a mentor to you. And then once you do that, we create a mentor-protege agreement. You can come to Move America. You can contact the DoD Office of Small Business Programs. You can talk to the services or the agencies and try to come into any of those routes. Normally, there's a broad agency announcement out in sam.gov that you can apply through. So just check sam.gov. And if you see a broad agency announcement talking about MPP, just apply that way.
And of course, there's two ways that can happen. Obviously, the less developed company that wants to be a protege can reach out to an approved mentor, somebody who's already in the Mentor-Protégé program as a mentor. Or if the company that the potential protege reaches out to become a mentor isn't already a mentor and they meet the requirements, they can apply to become a mentor through the Mentor-Protégé program.
Exactly.
Carolyn, any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
No, I just say thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share a few of my thoughts about the Mentor-Protégé program. I'm really excited about this program. I'm glad I came on board. Actually, after I retired from the Air Force, I kind of did consulting for a couple years, and this was presented to me. And I said, oh, that looks like something that I might like to do, helping businesses become a greater force in the American economy and a greater force, a player in our national security space.
Definitely. And we certainly look forward to working with the companies that are in Mentor-Protégé program, businesses across the country, or anybody, again, that would fall into the purview of MoveAmerica. Carolyn, this has been great. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we look forward to having you on again in the future.
Thank you.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily represent the views or positions of MoveAmerica or its affiliates. Always consult with a qualified professional for advice specific to your circumstances. For more information about MoveAmerica and our mission to strengthen the defense industrial base through innovation and collaboration, visit us at www.moveamerica.org. Thank you for tuning in to Pathways to Partnership, powered by MoveAmerica. Until next time, stay inspired, stay innovative, and we'll speak with you soon.